This travel tip is about getting around in China. China is huge, and there's a good chance you're going to want to spend time in more than one city in your time in China. But the distances between those cities can seem quite daunting. Well, China has a really excellent train system. The tickets are cheap, it's quite reliable, and it's reasonably comfortable if you can get a good seat or a sleeper cabin. So don't be scared of some of those long distances between cities, particularly if you can book your ticket so it goes overnight and you've got a good ticket. You'll just be able to sleep your way there and be able to see more of China. Now, it's important booking your tickets that you try and book them as early as possible. Your hostel will normally be able to book the ticket for you. But if you don't get in early enough, particularly during the peak time around summer, you may not be able to get the tickets that you want, which will mean that either you get an uncomfortable seat, you don't catch your train at all, or you might end up getting a no-seat ticket. That basically means you get to ride on the train, but there's no seat assigned to you. And so you're in the hard seat cabin, and you just kind of squat and crouch in the aisle and in between seats. And you have to get up and move every 30 minutes or so, it seems like, maybe more often, as people go past selling food, cleaning, or just wanting to use the bathroom at the end of the cabin. So I actually did this once. I had a 20-hour no-seat train ride, and I can't believe I didn't take more photos or some video of this. But this here is what I ended up sitting on most of the ride. So if you want a bit of comfort, make sure you book early. Taxis. These are cheap in China and a pretty good way to get to places, and sometimes it's really going to be your only viable option is to catch taxi. Now, most people advise only to take the official registered taxis in whatever city you're in. I have had both good and bad experiences with the official registered taxis, and I've had both good and bad experiences with unregistered taxis, or black taxis as they're commonly known. With the official registered taxis, if you are able to communicate with them where you want to go and they put the meter on when you ask them to, it's great. Yeah, excellent. But I've also had the experience where the taxi driver has flat out refused to put the meter on, even when asked directly, and I've had to end up paying a higher price anyway. So just catching a registered taxi isn't a guarantee you're going to have a good experience. With the black taxis, on the other hand, my experience has been that normally they speak English better, and so you're going to have an easier time communicating what you want. Also, they will try harder to find what it is that you want. Now, they do this because they can make extra money through kickbacks and things like that. But if you're happy paying the price that you negotiate with them, and it saves you hassle and makes it easier for you, I think sometimes it's worth it. So for individual taxis, you just need to, I guess, go with your instinct about whether you feel okay riding with them. But don't be put off using the black taxis sometimes if you find it's more convenient. If you can use a registered one, that's great. But I think sometimes some of the black taxi drivers actually give you pretty good service. For all taxi rides though, even if your taxi driver does seem to have reasonably good English, make sure that you get the address of where you need to go written in Chinese so that there's no miscommunication about this. When you're in a decent sized city, there will normally be a metro train system, and these are awesome. They're cheap, they're reliable. You just go, you wait a few minutes, and every few minutes there'll be another train going. Sometimes they're a bit crowded, but these are an excellent way to get around. It's normally fairly easy to get a subway map to find where you need to go. So use these as much as you can. Sometimes you may find yourself having to use a bus, and personally I find these a bit more daunting. because you have to be a bit more careful to make sure that you are on the right bus, going in the right direction. But these are actually surprisingly user-friendly, even for a non-Chinese language speaker. So don't be scared about doing that if that's what you need to do to get to the places you want to go. My last tip on getting around in China is about footwear. A lot of the places that you're going to go to, even if you're not planning on hiking or anything like that, some of the cultural sites themselves are just so massive, you will end up doing a lot of walking, spending a lot of time on your feet in order to see them and appreciate them. So it's a really good idea to make sure that you have footwear that you're going to be comfortable in, because that way you're going to enjoy your time and enjoy what you see that much more if you're comfortable.